machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell the
Well,
audience
I'd rather
in
save
America?
it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to
Why
say
should people
also.
watch them?
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth planning a rare in-person meeting with hundreds of top generals and admirals from around the world. Military sources telling Fox News that this is set for Tuesday at a Marine base in Virginia. Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin reporting live from the Pentagon. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Martha. The meeting, first reported by the Washington Post, has since been confirmed by Fox News. 800 generals, admirals, and their senior enlisted aides have been ordered from their posts around the world to Washington, D.C. to gather in an auditorium at Marine Base Quantico in Virginia on Tuesday. The officers have not been told what the meeting is about.
It's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah?
The invitation has sent shockwaves through an already fearful officer corps who have been on the receiving end of angry outbursts by Secretary Hegseth, who routinely threatens to submit them to polygraphs. Some express concerns that bringing all the military brass to one location in D.C. is an unnecessary security risk, and question why the meeting cannot be held on a secure video teleconference call, especially at a time of rising global threats and cost cutting as the government faces a possible shutdown. Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell confirmed the meeting but gave no details other than Secretary Hegseth, quote, will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week. Secretary Hegseth has fired without explanation nearly 22 officers, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General C.Q. Brown, the chief of naval operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan, Air Force Vice Chief of Staff General James Slife. Last month, Secretary Hegseth fired Defense Intelligence Agency Director Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz, Navy Reserve Chief Vice Admiral Nancy LaCour, and Naval Special Warfare Command Head Rear Admiral Milton Sands, the head of the Navy SEALs. Many of those fired, Martha, by the Secretary have been women. The scant details about this meeting's agenda have many fearing a further purge.
Piece of UFO files from the Pentagon is out. It includes one report from a military pilot, along with footage of a mysterious six-pointed object off the coast of Asia. Fox's Madeline Rivera has more on the files from Washington.
The materials released in this latest batch go back to the 1940s, and they come from different agencies, including the Departments of War and Energy, NASA, the CIA, and the FBI. One report was filed by security personnel at the Pantex nuclear plant near Amarillo, Texas. On September 1st, 2015, they described chasing down a flying object near the facility. They said the object did not make a sound, had no identifiable propulsion system, and was shaped like a diamond. And in 2019, a military pilot took this video while flying in the eastern United States. The aviator wrote, "I noticed an object with flight characteristics unlike anything I had seen in my 28 years of performing for the U.S. Air Force and Navy. A small object was below us and appeared to be traveling in a straight line opposite our direction at high speed. Upon analysis after our flight, the object appeared to be rectangular. Others with equal or more experience were also unsure as to what this object might be." One of the videos was captured just last year by the U.S. Pacific Command. The footage taken on January 1st over the Yellow Sea shows an unidentified object that looks like a six-point star. President Trump has demanded transparency regarding unidentified flying objects, aerial phenomena, and alien life, but the Pentagon has previously said they found no evidence of aliens or extraterrestrial intelligence. They've suggested other reasons for these unresolved cases, including lack of sufficient data. They say the private sector is welcome to provide their own expertise, and in the meantime, They'll continue to release new files in the coming weeks.
The one thing specifically, people say, we want to know where locations of craft and biologics are, right? So we know for a fact that there have been a few very credible whistleblowers that we've talked to that allege that they have information specifically pertaining to this, but they're afraid of losing their clearances.
But it's not just government employees who need protection, it's the private sector too. Years ago, the government enlisted defense contractors to study and analyze all the alien technology we have found so that we could understand and re-engineer it for our own use. It's all top secret stuff. Even members of our own government don't know exactly which companies are involved and what they have. Marco Rubio says that's no good.
The real risk that in transferring technology that is not useful to us today to a corporate entity, over decades, that corporate entity comes to basically possess and control access to it for their own purposes, not for the purposes of national security. And so you can start to foresee where you create in corporate hands an extraordinary amount of power.
So we need to know what alien secrets are tucked deep inside the military-industrial complex, and we'll never know that if whistleblowers don't speak out. Well, that's about to change. Dan Farah is the director and producer of The Age of Disclosure, and he joins us now. So, Dan, let's begin with this. Why do government contractors and government employees, but government contractors, need protection right now?
So just to take a step back, following the release of the film, The Age of Disclosure, the president issued an historic directive in February instructing federal agencies to identify and declassify evidence of non-human intelligent life and UAP. The White House then had the task of getting that evidence from these groups. And in that process, they learned that a lot of the most valuable evidence and information is in the possession of private defense contractors. Contractors have been given this sensitive technology for a number of reasons. Primarily, the major defense contractors are the ones who have the best engineers and scientists to actually try to understand this technology and reverse engineer it. So there's a practical reason they're given this technology. It also adds a security layer because private contractors are not subject to FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, and they can much more easily hide secrets. The problem is that's backfired, and that now the defense contractors are they have a great deal of power in this situation. They're holding most of the cards. They have the evidence, and our elected leaders don't have access to it. Now, a lot of people who have worked on these programs have signed non-disclosure agreements that prohibit them from sharing information and bringing evidence forward. And so the White House has realized this and started a process where Congressman Burleson, Congresswoman Luna, and Congressman Burchett, members of the Committee to Declassify Federal Secrets, they've been empowered to identify whistleblowers who have credible firsthand information or evidence that they can provide to the White House, and they've been empowered to bring those people on a case-by-case basis to the White House, and the White House will consider waiving their non-disclosure agreements or providing immunity to allow them a path to legally speak. I've recently learned that Stephen Miller, the White House head of policy, is pointing this effort for the White House. The president has positioned him to run that effort. They're taking it very seriously. In addition to that process, there's also Senator Rounds and Senator Schumer have co-sponsored a bipartisan piece of legislation called the UAP Disclosure Act that will also, if signed into law, provide Congress with a legal path forward for disclosure.